Alright, this is my ultimate 2026 roller coaster bucket list. Today I'm going through my most anticipated roller coasters that I have not ridden in the United States that I hope to ride as many of these as possible this year. This first one is Invertigo at Kings Island. It's a suspended shuttle coaster, and it doesn't seem too special. It seems kind of like a normal boomerang type of layout. But the cool thing about it is the seats are reversed, so you can go forward or backward facing each other. Just seems kind of unique. Thought that would be a fun thing to do. Number 57 is the Hurler at Carowinds. That one, I haven't heard great things about it, but I've heard so many people hate on it that I kind of just want to ride it. I've been to Carowinds once. I was only there for like 30 minutes, and so I saw it. I walked outside of it, but never got to ride it. I want to see what all the hate's about. Number 55, New Fire in the Hole. It's at Silver Dollar City. I actually don't know too much about this ride, honestly. It's hard to even get footage of it, but I heard that people were so scared when they revamped it and redid it that they would ruin the classic. But then everyone came out saying, hey, you redid this classic right. So I thought, that sounds awesome. I want to see what the classic redone right is. Number 54 is Mystic Timbers at Kings Island. This one, I don't know too much about. I've watched the videos from the view of the front row, and it looks okay, but I've heard really good things about it. I heard it has an awesome reputation, and it's one of those things that every comment says the video doesn't do it justice. So I love me a good Woody when I can find. Number 53 is Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldermere Park. Same thing. I don't know much about it, but I've heard, oh, this is a standout ride, and it seems I just love a good Woody when I can find one. 52 is the same thing. It's Boulder Dash at Lake Compound, and same thing. It just seems like a standout park that is a classic in the area. Okay, number 51, Wildcats Revenge at Hershey Park. I'm a little bummed they didn't pick a candy name for this one, but I've heard that this is one of the RMCs with the coolest layouts. I didn't put higher on my list because I feel like RMCs are kind of just everywhere nowadays, so they're super fun, but there's just so many of them. But I've heard this one's really fun, really intense, and an awesome layout. Number 50 is Twister at Knobles or Quanabels. And it is, I just heard it's super fast, just whips you through the whole thing, and it's a classic, kind of like the other wooden ones I've mentioned. Number 49, Outlaw Run, Silver Dollar City. I remember being a teenager or a kid and hearing about this being built and being the most crazy roller coaster out there. I was kind of upset at the time because I thought they were taking glory away from my home park. But it's just a classic I've had on my mind since then that I want to ride, and it just seems like an awesome layout. Okay, number 48 is Montu at Valley Fair. Nope, Montu at Busch Gardens, false alarm. So Montu, I don't know much about it, but it's an inverted coaster, and I've heard it is one of the best inverted coasters in the United States. And I'm not the biggest fan of inverted coasters. I like them, but they aren't too standout special to me. But if something's the best in the United States, you got to go ride it and find out why, right? Okay, number 47 is Renegade at Valley Fair. Honestly, it's kind of similar to the other Woodies. I've heard this one's just a super sweet layout, super fast, and also Renegade is just kind of a pretty sweet name. It adds to it. 46, Shivering Timbers at Michigan's Adventure. This is one that I looked at and I thought, man, I really want to ride that one. Those camelbacks and just the layout looks really fun. It's one that I think I want to go up and down and around on. Number 45, Gemini at Cedar Point. So Gemini is it's one of those roller coasters that's not just a classic roller coaster, but it's a landmark. You know, I love Woodies. I love classic roller coasters, and this is a racing roller coaster. I just love that classic thing, even if it's not the big attraction of the park. Because I didn't grow up around Cedar Point as a kid, I went once when I was young and rode just about everything except Gemini, so I want to cross that off my list. Okay, number 44, Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. Now this is another RMC, and I'm going to be honest, when I watched this one, I watched the POV front seat, and I just thought that honestly looks kind of underwhelming. But I read through the comments, and everyone was like, "This doesn't do it justice. It's way more intense." And when there's such a disconnect between what you see and what the ride really is, I kind of want to go figure out what makes it so cool and how different it is, and see if it's really as everything is hyped up to be, or if I'm just crazy. Number 43, Banshee at Kings Island. The promo video for this one is awesome if you watch the Banshee announcement video. But this is the longest inverted roller coaster, and when it was made, it broke a ton of records. And like I said, inverted coasters aren't the thing that I'll travel around the world to go see. But if there's one out there that seems to stand above the rest, uh, I'll go and do it. For example, Silver Bullet at Knott's Berry Farm. A lot of people trash on that one, but this one seems like, oh, it takes you places, you know. And I like it when a roller coaster feels like not only does it whip you around, but it takes you places. And I feel like Banshee would do that and whip you around. Number 42, Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. You can get mad at me if I butchered that name. Now, this is a hypercoaster in SeaWorld Orlando, and I've heard just a bunch that it is the best out there, and I guess I've kind of haven't been too impressed by coasters that are just tall but don't do much. And so this seems like one that you have to ride it to go see what it's all about. I heard the first half is awesome, and you get tons and tons of airtime, and I want to figure out what the hype's all about. Also, I don't know if you've been checking the news or not, but a few weeks or months ago, a woman got hit in the face with a bird while she was riding this ride, and she tried to sue him, and then they said, you can't sue us because birds be birds, you know. Pretty crazy. So if you want to ride the ride where someone took a face injury from a bird, Mako's for you, and I guess Mako's for me. Okay, number 41. Now this is called Vortex. It's at Canada's Wonderland, I'm pretty sure. Now, uh, Vortex is a suspended roller coaster like Ninja at Six Flags, my home park. But I've heard, you know, Ninja, you ride Ninja and it's really fun and it swings you around, but you always feel like it could do a little more. I've heard that Vortex is the perfect accumulation of all of this. That it's a suspended coaster, but out of all the suspended coasters, yeah, it's a suspended swinging coaster. This one whips you around and takes advantage of the turns and the swings on the track more out of anything. So I want to go ride that because Ninja is a really fun ride, and it's really interesting to see what it would be like if you're on a ride that does even more with it. All right, number 40, Georgia Gold Rusher. Now, this is a pretty short ride, but this is a launched spinning ride. It's pretty unique, and it's like a shuttle back and forth, and it just seems like a really unique experience. I've heard it's a lot of fun. You know, rides where you just go forward and backward, they don't feel as exciting because you don't feel like you go anywhere. But to be spinning around that large wheel while you're going straight up in the air and over water and everything, I've never had an experience exactly like that ride, so it'd be pretty cool to knock that off my list.
Number 39. Number 39 is Riddler Mindbender at Six Flags over Georgia. This is one of the roller coasters you look at, and it doesn't look like it does that much, but you've just heard that it's a lot to handle. I think the idea is there's a lot of G's in that first loop, so even though it's a small coaster, it's just supposed to be a crazy one. I've heard it works for some, not for others. I'd really like to try it out and see. Number 38, Six Flags Great America. I'm honestly surprised this roller coaster called Maxx Force doesn't get talked about more. It's a launch roller coaster just like Full Throttle at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I think they're both very similar in style. I remember seeing the announcement video for this. It looked awesome, and no one really talks about it. So this one hasn't been hyped up a lot by people outside, but to me it looks awesome, and I want to go ride it and see how cool it is. Because same thing with Magic Mountain Full Throttle. People don't really talk about that one that much, but it's an awesome ride. So I'd love to ride this one and kind of go ride the roller coaster that younger me remembers seeing the announcement for. Number 37, this is called Reptilian at King's Dominion. This is a simulated bobsled coaster. I've never been on a simulated bobsled coaster. I've been on La Vibora at Six Flags over Texas, and this one it just looked really fun. It's kind of just a concept thing that I want to try it. I think the whole idea is that you're just on wheels instead of sliding, but it looks really fun. So I'd like to give it a try, and I've heard this is a really well done model. Number 36, Leviathan, and this is at Canada's Wonderland. So I've had my eye on this one since I was a kid. I remember reading some article about some coaster crazy guy who was like 50 or 60 years old who reached his 7,000th ride on Leviathan. Like he would just go ride it all day, every day for like a year or something like that. Crazy. And that's kind of what got on my radar. But this is one of the 7 giga coasters in the world. I've heard it's really awesome. I've only ever been on two coasters above 300 feet, and that's Fury 325 and Top Thrill Dragster, the original. But I've heard this one's great. I want to go ride it. Just cross it off my list. Number 35 is none other than Pantheon from Busch Gardens. If you look at pictures of it, it honestly doesn't look that cool. But I've heard it's really awesome. It's a multi-launch coaster. It has a backwards vertical spike. It looks like a really cool concept. The track switches halfway through. The theming is not there. They haven't done anything with theming, which is funny because Busch Gardens is one of the most beautiful parks in the nation, apparently. But anyway, I've heard great things about Pantheon. Definitely a lot more bite than his bark. Number 34. My first exposure to this was seeing its logo as a kid and thinking, wow, that has got to be the coolest ride out there. This is Prowler at Worlds of Fun. Now, Prowler is a wooden coaster and has won coaster of the year before, so that's something exciting about it. Other than that, I don't know much about it, but it's one of the ones that is just, it's like meeting your childhood hero. It would be like meeting a coaster that you thought was awesome when you were a kid. Number 33 is Gold Striker at California's Great America. This is in California, and I don't know if you follow the news much, but California's Great America is set to close down in, I think, at the end of the 2026 season. So, I've heard this is a Woody. It's a classic. I've heard it's a really good coaster. I hope it gets relocated. But this is also a little higher on my bucket list because I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to ride it, because maybe after the park sells or closes, if they just use the land for real estate because that's valuable land area, then they're just going to get rid of that coaster, and this might be the last chance I ever have to ride it. Number 32. This one might surprise you. It is Joker at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. It's an RMC. It's a hybrid coaster, and now this one is probably one of the least talked about hybrids out there. And I'll be honest, the main reason I want to ride this is I went to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom one time as a teenager when we were passing through, and Joker was closed, and I was mad that I didn't get to ride it. And I want to go ride it because it looked really fun. I love the green and purple track, and it just looks like it can be a really fun ride. All right, last one for today. Just kidding. Number 31, this is the new Texas Giant. So I went to Six Flags Over Texas about a decade ago, and I rode the Texas Giant. It was awesome. They had a sign up, and it was a tally of how many phones they collected that were lost. That was their big bragging right, is how many people lost their phones on the Texas Giant. Anyway, that's since been redone, and this is the first ever RMC hybrid coaster that's retracking an original Woody into a hybrid. And it just seemed like it would be part of history to go ride it. I love the first one. I'd love to see what they did with it. All right, number 30 is a small roller coaster. It's called Jackrabbit in Kennywood. Now, Jackrabbit is one of the oldest wooden roller coasters out there. I think it's from like 1928 or something. And they have what's called a double down, where you'll drop, and instead of going up after your first drop, you drop a second time, which means that second drop just throws you over the edge. Now, this is a really tiny roller coaster, but I've heard people say that drop is the scariest thing they've ever done because all you have is a seatbelt, and it feels like you might die. And I've definitely felt that when you're on a roller coaster so old that you're not sure if you're going to make it out alive. That's what real fear is. All right, number 29 is Loch Ness Monster at Busch Gardens. This is the classic double looping old coaster. It goes through the woods and through a tunnel. And this just feels like a part of history. This probably feels very similar to riding Revolution at Six Flags Magic Mountain. It's not a crazy roller coaster, but it takes you through the woods. You're out on, a journey. And I don't know, I would just love to ride this one. Now, number 28 is Storm Runner at Hershey Park. This is one of the few launches out there that's the original classic, I think it's hydraulic launch, just like Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm, which a lot of people say is their favorite launch in the world. Now, Storm Runner is that same kind of launch mechanism, looks like a really fun layout, lots of inversions, things like that. So a launch kind of feeling like Accelerator, but having a lot more character and diversity to it than Accelerator does. Number 27, a dive coaster, just any dive coaster. I've never been on a dive coaster before. I've been on a lot of roller coasters. I'll do a video later of all the ones that I've done ranked. But I honestly feel like dive coasters are a little overhyped. I think it's all about the drop. And then after that, it seems like it would kind of just not really do anything for you after the drop. But it does seem exciting. You're there, you have that vertical drop. So the next one I'll probably ride is Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. So really any dive coaster will do. Next up, 26. Now this is Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens. And I think when this one came out, I was super excited about it. People don't really talk about this one that much, but it just seems like such a cool and pretty ride. I love how you launch up in the air and kind of slowly go around, see the whole layout of the park, and then like you're there and you're flying across the river through caves. Seems like a really awesome family coaster that still packs a punch. So I would love to ride that ride. This is Busch Gardens in Tampa. Now, number 25 is the Flash Vertical Velocity. And I don't know of a coaster that's coming out that got more hate than this one did, at least this year. And I think that's because people were really mad about King to Ka being destroyed, obviously. And I think they thought Flash was supposed to be the replacement for King to Ka, which it obviously wasn't. The replacement for King to Ka is still in the works. And it seems like that project is getting a lot of hate right now. But anyway, the Flash seems like a really fun, unique launch coaster that I don't know if there's a launch coaster exactly like it around. It's a multi-launch coaster. Waiting for it will probably take a long time, but seems fun, unique experience. Number 24, this is Goliath at Six Flags over Georgia. Now, this is a hyper coaster, but it's shorter than my Goliath at Six Flags Magic Mountain that's 255 feet tall. But I have heard it is the best layout for a hyper coaster, and it is super fun. It has an awesome downward helix, and I've just heard enough people talk about a coaster that I wouldn't expect much from that I think, all right, I got to go ride it and see what it's all about because it sounds like one that the engineers did a great job. Number 23, Expedition Everest to Animal Kingdom. I remember when I first saw the POV for this video, I got so excited that I went and found my wife and I made her watch it. Because it was pretty cool. Especially, I love the rides that if you don't know what to expect going in, you have surprises, right? Just like Full Throttle at Six Flags, if you don't know you're going to launch backwards in the tunnel, that's a huge surprise. Expedition Everest, you go all the way up and then the track is in shambles and it's destroyed. And while you've been going up in the mountain, the track behind you switches backward, so you're falling backwards, and then you go deeper into the cave and it just seems like such a cool roller coaster going in and out of the mountain. This is, I've never been to Animal Kingdom. Who knows if I ever will. But if I do go, it will be because of Expedition Everest. Number 22, this might make some of you mad that it's so far down, but this is Stardust Racers at Universal Epic Universe. It seems awesome. I'm sure riding it, I will love it. I think maybe I have a little bit of an aversion to overhyped roller coasters. And maybe this one isn't overhyped. I've heard it's one of the best roller coasters out there, racing coasters, especially the green track. But I think because people talk about it so much, I feel a little bit less motivated to ride it. It's kind of weird. But it looks awesome, has some of the coolest elements of racing out there. It's unfortunate what's happened with injuries and lawsuits and stuff. But I've heard it's just an awesome roller coaster that is designed to give guests exactly what they want. Now, number 21, this is the last one for this video. This is Siren's Curse at Cedar Point. I've never been on a tilt coaster before. This Siren's Curse is a tilt coaster, and I think it's mostly for that. Everything that comes after, I'm sure I could take it or leave it. I heard it's an awesome ride, but obviously everyone that's going to go ride Siren's Curse is going to do it for that crazy feeling of getting to the top of the lift hill and then the track just disappears in front of you. And I would love to ride that. I think that's a new kind of fear that I haven't had of, oh man, these brakes could just release and then we could all die. So Siren's Curse, Cedar Point, that one came out and was built after my last time to Cedar Point, so I definitely want to ride that one. Number 20, we have Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City, a mock extreme spinner. The trains are spinning 360 degrees the entire time while it's launching and you're doing inversions, and I heard it's crazy. I've heard that Ride to Happiness in Europe is an even better version of this, but Time Traveler is the original. I want to ride the original. Number 19, this is Sky Rush at Hershey Park. This is a coaster that is way taller than it looks. Every time I look at it, I think it has to be barely over 100 feet, but it is 240 feet or something like that. This is the fastest lift hill out there, and apparently it's one of the most intense drops out there. This is one of the rides that watching the POV, I think, there's not much to it, but I've heard coming down that drop is insane. It's like a car crash, and I need to ride it to see what all the thrill is about. Okay, number 18 is Nitro at Six Flags Great America. This is a B&M Hyper, and I've had my eye on this one since I was a kid. I had Roller Coaster Tycoon on my computer, and Nitro was in one of the game versions, and I just loved watching that roller coaster layout. So this is more of like a childhood dream of mine. I want to go to Six Flags Great Adventure and ride Nitro. All right, at number 17, this might make some people mad that it's not in the top 10. This is Iron Gwazi at Busch Gardens. This is right up there as one of the best RMC hybrid coasters out there. I've heard lots of people rank their top coasters, and this is always in their top 10 or something. I don't know why. I think there are other ones that I'll get to that I'm more excited about. Iron Gwazi, though, it looks awesome. It's super intense from start to finish. I think maybe just because there's so many RMCs out there that have come out, I don't have as much urgency to ride every single one of them, but I've heard the other ones don't even hold a candle to this. Okay, number 16. This is Poltergeist at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. Yes, I know. Why is it so far up here? I went to Six Flags Fiesta Texas about a decade ago, and that was the last time I went. I'm going to be going in about a week, and Poltergeist was closed. That's right. It was Christmas celebration, and that was closed, and as a teenager, you see this big knot of a roller coaster, and you think, man, that has got to be the coolest thing I've ever seen. So Poltergeist is a launch roller coaster with tons of inversions, and it's a knot. It probably looks more intense than it is because the knot looks pretty cool, but you kind of go slowly through it. But I want to ride this roller coaster. I love it. I already love it. So I'm going to ride it, and I'm super excited. Okay, number 15. This is called Superman the Ride at Six Flags New England. In a lot of research I've done and things, I've heard a lot of people say this is the best hyper coaster out there, and they're just raving about it's a classic. The kind of roller coaster that seems like a David that is better than all the Goliaths out there. I want to ride this one. It seems like it's a really awesome layout. You're along a lake, lots of airtime, really smooth riding, so let's cross it off our list. Number 14, Lightning Rod at Dollywood. Lightning Rod is a wooden roller coaster that used to have a launch lift hill. Apparently that's now down, and I think they're just doing chain lifts, which is very unfortunate, but I've still heard it is an amazing, awesome layout, and their big marketing thing is, hey, we don't need inversions, we have a quad down. Yep, that's like the double down I mentioned in the last video with Jackrabbit, where you go down and before going up, you have 4 drops in a row and just crazy airtime, and I've heard enough about it to be excited to get on this ride. All right, number 13, Airy Force 1. This is at Fun Spot Atlanta, and Airy Force 1 is one of the best RMCs in the nation. It's small, it doesn't seem like it packs a punch, but I've heard it packs a crazy punch, and it uses all the right airtime, all the right floater time. This is many people's favorite coaster of all time, and it's just got enough to get me curious to go and ride it. Also, it's at Fun Spot Atlanta, which is like a fun spot. You know, you have your birthday party there, so it's really random. You go to this place with carnival rides and arcades, and then you have this giant roller coaster that people are traveling from around the world just to go ride. Okay, number 12, Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure. Yes, I know I just said with Stardust Racers in the last video that when roller coasters are overhyped and overtalked all the time, it makes me kind of shy away from them, but Velocicoaster, just watching it looks awesome. I love the theming. I love how you're kind of navigating through mountains. Like I say, I love it when roller coasters feel like they're taking you somewhere, and this feels like it's taking you somewhere. And I also love it when a roller coaster doesn't give you all the best elements in the beginning and then kind of just take up your time at the end. And this one has the launch at the end with a top hat and an extreme inversion. It seems like a lot of people say the end is the best, and I love it when they do that. So credit to Velocicoaster. Velocicoaster. Okay, number 11. This is Pantherian, previously known as Intimidator 305 at King's Dominion. I've heard this is one of the most intense roller coasters out there. It's a giga roller coaster, one of the 7 roller coasters in the world over 300 feet. And that might not be accurate anymore, but that was accurate once, so woohoo. Pantherian, you look at it and it doesn't go down and back up super high like all the other roller coasters, but it stays kind of low to the ground, relatively, right? But I've heard it's just all in on intensity. So it's a different kind of roller coaster that's not about height, but it's about just the things it does using physics against you. So it'd be fun to check that one out. Number 10, Alpen Fury at Canada's Wonderland. All right, so Alpen Fury is a launch coaster by Premier Rides that Premier Rides has gotten some hate in the past, but I think Alpen Fury has silenced all the haters. It's a launch roller coaster that launches you first kind of slowly, and then you go into the base of a mountain, and then you launch vertically out of the top of this mountain or volcano, whatever it is. I love that idea of shooting in and out of the mountain. So the scenery is a cherry on top. It just looks like an awesome addition to a roller coaster. Every now and then a park's new roller coaster that you can just tell they got it right, and I feel like this is one of them. Number 9, Iron Rattler at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. So I told you that I love wooden roller coasters. I like RMCs, even though there are a ton of them now, and I love it when roller coasters feel like they're taking you somewhere. And Iron Rattler is an RMC hybrid coaster that I heard has one of the most crazy drops out there. It's built on a quarry, so there's a giant cliff that throughout the ride, you'll go up and kind of ride around on top of the cliff and then back down. And I just love the use of landscape in the ride. And all those things combined for me just makes it, yeah, this is a top 10 roller coaster I just really want to ride. Because it feels like even if it's not the most insane roller coaster, I feel like it'll be an instant classic for me. All right, number 8. This is one of the most unique rides out there, Mr. Freeze at Six Flags over Texas. So this is a launched shuttle roller coaster, and you launch up kind of like an accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm, except you are inverted when you launch. You do some things, and then you go all the way up a vertical spike, but there's kind of like an interesting like mechanism that when you go up the vertical spike, you don't just stop when gravity stops you, but you shoot up a little more and it feels like you're floating. So overall, this is a really unique ride, and with all its downtime and everything, who knows if they might get rid of it eventually. So I'd love to ride this. Seems like an awesome ride and just a one of a kind. Well, two of a kind because there's a clone of it at Six Flags St. Louis. All right, number 7, Phantom's Revenge at Kennywood. Now, I remember being the biggest fan of Six Flags Magic Mountain roller coasters when I was a kid, and Goliath is 255 feet tall, 80 miles an hour, and Phantom's Revenge also went 80 miles an hour. This is back when it had a loop, and I was so mad that there was another roller coaster out there that was tied for Goliath because I wanted Six Flags Magic Mountain to have the best roller coasters out there, right? Anyway, I look into it again. Phantom's Revenge. I love the idea that the second drop is more intense than the first. I love it when roller coasters save better elements for the end. And even though they had to get rid of loops and things for intensity, I've heard this is an airtime machine, and I've just heard enough people rave about it to say there's something to this ride. I gotta ride it. Okay, number 7. This is maybe cheating because it hasn't come out yet, but this is actually number 6. I lied to you. This is Tormenta Rampaging Run at Six Flags over Texas. First of all, I think they nailed the logo. I think that's a really cool logo. This is a giga dive coaster. I know I said I'm not about the hype and stuff, but this is pretty crazy. You're taking a dive coaster, which traditionally says, oh, maybe we're not going to be as big as the other roller coasters, but we drop you straight down. Okay, now this is one that drops you straight down, hoists you over the edge, and it is bigger than most of the roller coasters out there. It will be in the top 10 highest roller coasters in the world. That's pretty crazy. So I'm excited to ride this when it comes out. That's going to be an amazing attraction at Six Flags over Texas. Alrighty, we are now in the top 5. Top Thrill Dragster was one that I rode about a decade ago, and then it's since been closed down. But then unlike King Dakar, it got an amazing glow up. It is now Top Thrill 2. And now instead of launching up the tower, it launches vertically up the tower, doesn't make it. So then you roll back and then shoot up like 300 feet in the air backwards up a vertical spike, and then you fall back down and launch forward up the tower and down and around. I think this is an amazing thing they've done to keep this classic alive, and I would love to ride this ride. Number 4, Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. This is one of the most intense roller coasters out there I have heard. This is an RMC hybrid roller coaster, just like Iron Gwazi and Iron Rattler and Air Force One that I mentioned. This one, it just seems like the most intense, the most shake you out of your seat. You're laughing by the end of it. I just love the idea of riding this one. This is one that I am beyond excited to ride. Now, the top 3 might surprise you, but I will stand by them until I die. Number 3, The Beast at Kings Island. This may not be the most intense roller coaster. I know at one point it held this record. I don't know if it still does, but for being the longest runtime roller coaster out there, being about 4 minutes and something. This has 2 chain lifts. It takes you out into the woods. You don't even know where you are anymore. It just seems like an awesome classic. Ever since I was a kid, I thought this has got to be one of the coolest roller coasters out there. I will ride this roller coaster if it's the last thing I do. And right now they're retracking it, so it's apparently going to be an even better ride. I love that they're trying to keep this one alive. Number 2, this is The Voyage at Holiday World. This is arguably the best wooden roller coaster in the world. I think it takes you through about 4 tunnels, and even with only 1 lift hill, it feels like it just goes on forever and ever. I really love, just like The Beast, now this one feels like it's taking you somewhere, and they just use the speed so well, so you constantly feel like you're flying through. I don't know, there's something magic about this one. I don't know if I would have gone to Holiday World otherwise, but because of The Voyage, I'm planning on it. This will be just an awesome classic wooden roller coaster. And number 1 is none other than El Toro, Six Flags Great Adventure. Man, El Toro is just the most menacing looking ride. You could make a 400-foot roller coaster and it doesn't look as terrifying as that first drop of El Toro. I've heard that's the most insane first drop ever, especially on a wooden roller coaster. And those 2 camelbacks are just airtime machines at the end. I feel like El Toro does things to you that you did not approve of, but you are so glad that you rode the ride, and I'm just excited to ride this one. I love Woodies when I can find them, and there's no coincidence that the top 3 roller coasters on my bucket list are Woodies. So, that's my bucket list. If there's something on here that I didn't say that you're mad about, there's a chance that I've ridden it. But hey, tell me if there's a roller coaster you think that I forgot about, and I will add it to my bucket list. Let's go cross these off our bucket list.